Hi, welcome back to Frazzle Dad's Minis. I'm Jim, Frazzle Dad. Thanks for joining me again. Today I'm going to show you how I made this awesome, creepy, glowy bust of Cthulhu from Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, one of their Gloom and Glory pieces under the umbrella. Shane mailed me this piece. He'd printed it off on his Epic printing setup at home. The detail was terrific. It's a lot of fun. I've done a number of other Cthulhu themed pieces, including the 22-inch monster. I'll put a link to that series down in here. This one was a lot of fun because it's obviously a stone bust statue thing, and I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to play with environmental lighting, and I wanted to hit it from a couple different directions. I also wanted to try and keep the feel of, granite stone stuff having some lighting on it. There's also this really lovely insignia on the front, and I knew I wanted to do some non-metallic metal. Let's get after it. Here I am using a trick that I learned from Night Shift on YouTube, a great armor modeler. Tamiya Epoxy Putty thinned with Tamiya thin plastic model cement works as a great gap filler for resin or even FDM prints. It's easy to get into gaps. It feathers out nicely. It's easy to texture. So it just works terrific. So I'm using that here, and then I'll lightly sand it. Here we are done with all the putty. I've got things lightly sanded off, and I'm pretty happy with the fill. And now I'm taking a little bit of time to figure out what my plan is. What I want to do is have several different sources of light. I know that I want to make the eyes glowy red. I mean, how can you not? It's Cthulhu, right? Even if it is a bust of a stone statue, want to have some cool glowy eyes. I want to have a very cold blue illumination coming from the upper right, the figure's left. Whether it's moonlight or some, nefarious, creepy, glowy thing, don't know. But I want something blue from above and to the figure's left. And then I want a low illumination of something green coming from up underneath, like, there's a glowing altar or something in front of this. So, just taking a bit of time at this moment to look this over and plan out what I want to do. Blue glow from above and to one side, and then a frontal green illumination. I got this model from Shane already primed and slap chopped, and I wanted to bring that gray down quite a bit. I'm trying to really give this the impression that this statue bust thing is in a very dark place, so I want to hit it with complete black. So this is just using Stynylrez primer and getting everything coated up. I also am being very careful to double check that the seams that I use that Tamiya putty on are indeed smooth and well filled and sanded. Here I'm using P3's Coal Black. I'm trying to leave full black in the darkest recesses, but bring it up a bit with the blue black from this P3. It's a really nice color. I like the tone it's giving it. So what I'm trying to do is go from that dark black primer up a bit with the blue black of this coal, and then do further highlights from there. I've mixed in a bit of Monument Hobby Pro Acryl gray to the P3 coal black, and am bringing up the layers a bit further. Again, I'm trying to keep a stone theme here, so black to the coal black to this lightened blue tone, and I'm pretty happy here. This is just careful work with a brush and trying to hit the highest spots. I'm using the Harder Steenbeck Infinity, so I've got really lovely control. Love that airbrush for fine detail work. So trying hard to keep things focused and not blast out the deeper tones that I started out with. I'm back in at my work desk. I'm doing a bit of dry brushing to pick up some more detail. And as you're looking at the front here, you can see that I'm trying hard to convey a sense of lighting from up above and to the right, the figure's left. And, whether it's moonlight or some other odd source of lighting, I'm trying to leave the left side, the right side of the figure, in some much deeper shadow, but still get a little bit of detail here. So I'm just futzing around with some dry brushing here. I've moved on to actual brushwork, and I'm really trying to pick out the high spots. Again, the plan is that I will be spraying this with a color combination of ink, maybe some acrylics, but I'm trying to use a somewhat slap chop undercoat to really pick out the higher points. This is just a mix of that coal black, the Pro Acryl gray, and I'm moving progressively higher on all of these details. Again, on the right side as you're looking at this, somewhat of the front, and leaving the left side, the figure's right side, pretty much in complete black or some of those coal blue highlights. As I was looking at this, I decided I wanted to hit the figure's right side, the shadow side, with a little more of that coal black to give it a little more depth. I just wanted to pick out some more detail. So this is just going back in with careful brushwork, again trying to leave the deep shadows in almost full black, but add something visual to just convey some of the great detail on this model. I got tired of working on all of the grays and coal black and whatnot, so I decided to paint the eyes at this point, and this is using that kind of ivory gray from Pro Acryl. I'll be covering this with red and some fluorescent and some OSL later, but I just wanted something. I needed a break from painting all the grays, so I throw that on here. And then I'm moving on to adding some very bright highlights on various bits and pieces of the tentacles coming out of the face and some of the other textural pieces. Again, staying in that very gray, hopefully stone-ish range of tones. Trying to understand the lighting impact a little better, so I've actually turned off one of my work desk lights, and that way it's giving me a great accurate visual representation of the light and the shadow, even though it's not the goofy illumination that I want. Regardless, I regularly do this by playing around with turning off lights and having a look at something, or using my pocket flashlight to see how light and shadow strike. So yeah, just playing around. Here you can see I've painted the eyes, just a splash of red again, just sort of a bit of a distraction. But I'm diving in now to getting some gold NMM on that front insignia, sigil, whatever you want to call it. This is just careful, gradual work. I'm still not great at NMM. but this is a fun way to get some more reps in. And I like the gold popping out from the otherwise, gray aspect of the stonework here. NMM, just get the reps in. Back out to the garage to start the fun work of getting the OSL Glowy Effects in. This is working with white ink, and I'm starting to get the highlighting down for the eyes, and then I'll come around to the blue glow from up and above and the green from below. Again, laying down a base with a white ink and then getting after the colors. Here I'm working with getting down the initial coat of pure Intensity Blue. I'll lighten it up a bit later to get some of the highlights, but this is starting to get that glow effect in. Here I've mixed in some white ink to that Intensity Blue to start building up the highlights for the glow effect. Here I'm starting after the green, and it's the same pattern. Lay down the base coat of the Intensity, in this case green, over that white base that I'd put, and then gradually bringing things up. My first draft, I wasn't all that happy with the green, and I got some great feedback on one of the servers that I'm on from a fellow Dedicek, don't know. Anyway, he gave me the really good poke that I needed to push some spots of the highlight even further. And so I did that, and I don't have that in the video here, but it ended up a much better final result. Find a place where you can get productive, actionable, safe feedback. That's probably the topic of a whole nother video, but you want to be able to find places where you can get helpful, kind feedback. And I got lucky here. I got some really good feedback, and it made a much better result. Who doesn't love red glowy eyes? Here I'm using a mix of DAMM Broken Anvil red fluorescent, I think some acrylic to kind of bring it down just a little bit and give it a little depth, and just careful work on building up a lovely glowing effect. There you have it. This was a whole lot of fun to work on. The detail's terrific. I appreciated getting a pre-printed bust. It inspired me to play around, with the environmental aspect. As you've seen, I've done a number of other Cthulhu-themed pieces. This was just a lot of fun to work on. I got to level up my environmental lighting, OSL Glowy Bits piece skills. I'm really happy with how the NMM gold turned out. Definitely got some good reps in on that. So, without further ado, here's the grand reveal. stuck around this far, kindly do me a favor. Hit subscribe if you're not already. That way you'll get notifications when I drop future videos. Please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I'm a tiny channel and every little bit of interaction helps. But more importantly, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I hope it was interesting for you. Until next time, remember, be kind, experiment, FAFO, learn, try stuff. Remember, at the end of the day, it's just paint and plastic. Until next time, so long.